Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this week's episode of the Rosen Rubini podcast, Making Sense of This World. My name is Manas Chavla, and as always, I'm really pleased to be joined by CEO and Head of Research, Brunello Rosa. We've just had a very contentious election in Turkey, which led to Erdogan finally getting his third mandate. And that means that it's caught between risks of a financial crisis and hopes for a much more orthodox economic policy. And today we'll be unpacking what all that means, but also what Turkey means for the geopolitics of the region and the geopolitics of the world. But before we get into that, Brunello, the presidential and parliamentary elections took place last month. And it was a very close election. It went on to the second round. Erdogan finally won. What does this mean for Turkey, and what does it mean for the rest of the world?
So the results came out in two waves. It was the first round of parliamentary elections and presidential elections on the 14th of May. On that occasion, parliament was decided, and it was already clear that Erdogan would have kind of still some control on the political system because his party, with the allies of the MHP, managed to retain quite a significant majority. So even if he was ousted as president, still it would have had some relevance on the political system. But in reality, 2 weeks later, on the 28th of May, it was confirmed in a narrow victory, 50 to 48. But still, it's his third mandate, his third decade in power, prime minister first, president later. And clearly, that was something that was considered positive by somebody because it ensures stability and continuity, very negatively by others because it kind of reaffirms this tendency of some democracies in moving towards autocracies. Let's not forget that Erdogan is one of those people who has changed the constitution in order to remain in power for longer and to give more powers to the president. And it was changing that constitution was a big battle in itself, and eventually it went through. You needed a failed coup, and then all the repression that came with it. So it was a long march to get where it is now, but now it's kind of established. The point is, in all this very long process, the economy has suffered. Inflation is now 40% plus. And the lira has depreciated massively, tenfold. It used to be around two, less than two, just a few years ago, and is now moved to 22, 23. And somebody said, oh my goodness, we are at the beginning of a financial crisis.
I see. And I mean, Turkey's an important country to watch, despite just the elections. It has important sort of geopolitical considerations. It's at the, border of several political fault lines. Let's unpack that a little bit. I mean, in kind of recent months, where has Turkey been playing the largest role geopolitically?
Yeah, so various reasons why we're looking at Turkey. Geopolitically, Turkey is in between, I would say, the contending parties on the ground. So it's clearly a NATO country. It's been for a long time. Most people still don't remember that fact, but it's crucial that Turkey is part of NATO. At the same time, it has tried to establish a very good relationship with Russia, in particular with Putin itself. There have been tensions in the past. At some point, a Russian fighter jet was downed by a Turkish warplane in 2015, and it seemed like, oh my goodness, this is the beginning of a confrontation between NATO and Russia. But long gone are those times. In reality, then Turkey has brokered the deal that allowed Ukraine grains to be exported, especially to the Middle East and Africa, and avoided the terrible famine that would have ensued the war. So definitely geopolitically is important. Secondly, Turkey is a gateway between Europe and the Middle East and Asia. Is an Islamic country, but with the secular institutions established by Kemal Atatürk, its first president. At the same time, is also a prime example of the ongoing phenomenon in many countries of the so-called autocratization of democracies, whereby um, lots of democratically elected leaders try to establish a more autocratic rule, and in itself, Erdogan has tried to bring back some of the Islamic rules in the public affairs, even without establishing the Sharia. So clearly, from a geopolitical standpoint, Turkey is crucial.
Right, and Turkey is, at the center of attentions of financial markets as well. Investors have been watching this election very closely. Uh, how has sort of Turkey's recent economic and financial future evolved, and what direction is it likely to go in under Erdogan?
So the entire problem with uh, Erdogan management of the economy is that he wanted to establish some uh, pretty unorthodox rules. People call it Erdonomics. The most famous of which is the idea that in order to bring inflation down, you need to cut instead of increasing rates, which is kind of contrary to whatever is written in every textbook. What's the rationale for that? Apparently, in a country where a big component of the index is made of administered prices, um, if you increase the prices may also increase because they are following some form of administrative control. It kind of doesn't work that way anyway. That theory has brought inflation to super high level. It reached at some point 85.5%. Now it's just only, if you can use this word, 40%. It's still way too high. Now, in order to solve this problem, Erdogan has made two important moves. He has brought back to the finance ministry Mehmet Şimşek, who used to be finance minister and deputy prime minister until 2018. And he also has made a new important appointment. He has appointed a new central bank governor, Ms. Erkan. Unfortunately, it's not the first central bank governor that Erdogan has appointed. In fact, there have been five of them in the last 4 years, just to count the last ones. Clearly, he is in search for central bankers that do what he wants rather than do what they are supposed to do. Now, Mr. Erkan has a track record in financial markets. She has been a Goldman Sachs. She's graduated in Princeton. So she's well respected. Having said all this, she's also been the one had with the primary position in the risk management of First Republic, the now disgraced commercial bank in the US. And that got into trouble because of poor risk management and business model. So again, a bit of a mixed bag there, but probably still better than some, friend of Erdogan that just does what he wants. So the market did like these two appointments for sure. Finance minister and central bank governor are key appointments for any administration. The direction of travel seems to be the one that goes towards more orthodox policies, and they are badly needed because I was saying the lira massively devaluated in the last few years. It was 118 in 2008 and now has reached 23.4 just recently. So can you imagine a currency that loses like 90% of its value? I mean, this is inconceivable and could lead to a financial crisis soon. So at this point, it's binary. Either the market loses total confidence in the administration, and then you're going to have a serious currency crisis and potentially a more general financial crisis, which may include banks. Or these two appointments are enough to convince the market that more orthodox policies will be coming, and therefore the financial crisis can be avoided and Turkey will come back from its lows. For the time being, um, it seems like the market is in the window, try to understand what's going on. But I suspect we will soon know which direction of travel we will be getting.
Absolutely. I mean, one thing I suppose that won't change is the fact that this year is, ripe to be both geopolitically and economically quite precarious. Markets have a lot of uncertainty. Inflation still needs to be controlled. The sort of geopolitics of the Russian-Ukraine war continues to go on, and in all of these things, Turkey will play a very central role. So it's definitely something we'll continue to watch for the coming weeks and months. But as always, Brunello, thank you so much for your time and insight.
Thank you very much. Until next time.